Speaking of that, Kofi Cockburn, we don't talk about big guys being clutch that often. How clutch was this guy, Mike? Those two possessions where one was a lefty hook, right? I forgot what the other one was, but then to hit 2 free throws like that late in the game, that was clutch. We talk about, I was waiting for him to do the IO, the vein tap, like, cause that was awesome to Kofi. You wanted to see that in those moments. Brad Underwood said, we need more from Kofi Cockburn, one of the best players in the country. We'll talk about his case for Big Ten Player of the Year, but huge performance, 27 points, 9 rebounds. For me, I thought it was maybe one of the second best. It was the second best performance of the year outside of the 37-12 against Wisconsin.
I hope we haven't become numb to all this. Really, like, and at times as humans, we can overlook consistency or kind of get bored with consistency because it's just, it's night in and night out. And I think we search for other things to kind of grasp. And man, consistency is one of the hardest things, sports or not, life. Consistency is one of the hardest things to achieve. And it takes a certain mindset, right? Like, it takes a certain resolve when you're getting beaten down every single night, and you probably get fouled more than any player in the country. I think fouls drawn per 40 minutes, he's actually 4th. But he's up there. And when you watch that game, and when he gets fouled more than anyone, his ability to not let it impact his game. And he gets upset, and rightfully so. But just like Trent, he's able to kind of compartmentalize it and not let it completely rattle him. And I think Kofi's at his best when he's mixing patience, with decisiveness. And he did that against Michigan State. He was both of those things on Saturday in East Lansing. And his teammates do a really good job of putting him in a position to be successful. They're aware of it. I've talked about it before. That's really important, to not have guys saying, man, forget this guy. We throw it into him every time. It's my turn. That's important. They recognize it. And I think that says a lot about Kofi. Because if Kofi was an asshole, human nature, you're like, I don't want to throw it into this guy. He just doesn't appreciate us, doesn't understand what we do for him, but he does a lot for them. And that's the cool symbiotic part of this team that's really neat to watch. So we'll get into the Big Ten Player of the Year race stuff. But like I said, I really, really hope that as a collective, we haven't become numb to what this guy's been doing night in, night out.
Yeah, I hope people still appreciate it every night, because once it's gone, you're gonna know it's gone, because it's ridiculous what he's doing. All right, Mike, I do want to talk about the Big Ten Player of the Year race. Is really tough. Like, I vote for it. A lot of media vote for it. Johnny Davis is putting himself right back into the mix, given the way he's playing. Keegan Murray's putting up ridiculous numbers, and Iowa's starting to come on here a little bit. EJ Liddell, I just adore as a player. I love watching him. And Jaden Ivey is the most talented and the best player on the best team in the Big Ten. His numbers aren't as great. They don't need to be as great, but I feel like he's had huge moments, right? I feel like of all the guys in the Big Ten, him and Johnny Davis might have the best moments in the Big Ten so far this year. But let's talk about Kofi's case. I want to break down just some of the numbers. He's averaging 21 points, 21.7 points per game, 11.2 rebounds. That's number 7 nationally in scoring, number 7 nationally in rebounds. It's ridiculous. He's number 2 in Big Ten in scoring, number 1 in rebounds. He has 14 doubles in 14 double-doubles in 21 games. And here's some numbers for you, Mike. During the last 30 years, Kofi is one of 2 Big Ten players to average 20 points and 11 rebounds during conference play. Do you know who the other one is?
20 points and 11 rebounds. You said the last 30 years.
Last 30 years, only one other player during conference play.
20 points, 11 rebounds during conference play.
He wasn't on a very good team, and it wasn't that long ago.
It wasn't that long ago, and he wasn't on a very good team. 20 and 11. It rules out any of the Wisconsin guys because they've been good.
Go farther north.
Farther north
than Wisconsin, yeah.
Is it Jordan or Minnesota?
You thinking of Murphy? Is that who you're thinking of?
Yeah, Jordan Murphy.
No, it's Daniel Oturu. Daniel Oturu.
Okay. Yeah.
And Cockburn is doing it in 6 fewer minutes a game, by the way. So Arturo averaged about 35 minutes, and in Minnesota was 15 and 16 that year. So didn't have a lot around him, right? I'll give you another stat. Cockburn is one of just 6 high major players since 2000 to average 21 and 11 during a whole season. The other guys, Kevin Durant, Michael Beasley, Blake Griffin, Luke Herringody, and Marvin Bagley. That's 4 top 2 picks in the NBA draft and 1 Notre Dame legend, Luke Herringody. So pretty good company. What do you think, Mike? What's his case?
I think a lot's going to come down to the title race, right? If Illinois can find a way to win this outright, I think it's a no-brainer. Purdue wins it outright, I think it's Ivy. If Wisconsin wins it outright, I think it's Johnny Davis. Now, if it's a 3-way tie, that's where it starts getting a little bit interesting. Because I think, and this is unfortunate, I think what may end up happening, if they all share this and Kofi doesn't win it, what I think it's going to be a product of is I just don't think people have watched enough Illinois basketball. If you watch Illinois basketball, you see what he does. We talk about the gravity all the time, right? His orbit, in a sense. And if you're not watching for that, and if you don't notice it, then all you're seeing is, yeah, he's big, he turns around, he dunks it, makes some free throws, and you're doing a disservice if you're trying to dumb down his game like that. Because the strides that he's taken as a facilitator, I'm not saying he's Nikola Jokic, but some of the passes he's made out of the post, we would have really never fathomed that he would do that in his time at Illinois, and he's done it, and he's improved. I think that's the other thing is he didn't come into the Big Ten averaging 20 and 10. If you go back and watch his freshman year, it was ugly at times. Like he had a lot of growing pains. So I think you got to credit him to where this isn't just like, yeah, if I was 7 foot 280, I'd be doing that too. Well, no, because he came in and has grown a ton. And the player he is now is just his decision-making, his touch, he's shaved down his turnovers, his assists are higher. For him, he would be my Big Ten Player of the Year right now, just because I think Zach Edey and Travion Williams really do help Jaden Ivey out a lot. Just like you can argue some of the Illinois guys help out Kofi, but Edey's a guy that is an NBA prospect. Travion Williams is a guy that may get a cup of coffee there too, just based off his size and skill level. In Johnny Davis too, here's the thing. If it comes down to a share, it's probably going to be Johnny Davis. And the reason I say it is because people are going to fall in love with the preseason rankings of Wisconsin being 10th and winning a share of the league. And everybody wants to go and grasp at the storyline, and I get that. But man, if you watch these teams, and everyone has a good case. I'm not saying it's Kofi and it's absolute BS if anybody else gets it, because there's a legitimate. EJ Liddell has been absolutely out of this world. The problem is that Ohio State just feels like they haven't played.
Yeah.
But when he has played, he's 40% from 3. His numbers are outstanding. They've beaten the number 1 team in the country. And he's a big part of that. Keegan Murray, you mentioned it.
Ridiculous numbers.
Ridiculous. Like he is keeping that team from being a bottom feeder right now. So there's something to be said about that. So you can make a case for a lot of guys. Like I said, if it's going to be a share, then it's going to get interesting. But I've seen Kofi not play and this team look out of sorts at Maryland. I've seen Kofi sit on the bench and a 27-9 run happen at home with Maryland. It's an impact when he's not on the floor. But I don't think enough people look at it that way. And when I say that, I mean voters in a sense where it's like, they're not diving into it enough to be like, well, what's it look like when he's off the floor? It's going to be the numbers, and it's going to be his NBA draft prospects or his, Jaden Ivey's going to be a top 5 pick. Johnny Davis may end up being a top 10 pick. And you're crazy if you think voters don't lean into that a little bit. So I think out of all 3 guys, Kofi probably has the biggest uphill climb.
Maybe.
Just with everything around it. But I think he also has as legitimate of a case as anybody.
Yeah, Illinois is 14-5 against high major teams when he plays, 1-2 against high major teams when he doesn't. And I think you and I know, I think another thing working against him is just kind of people expected him to be this good, right? He's the Big Ten preseason player of the year. And he's kind of we were talking about, could he be a 20-10 guy? he's doing it and then some, but it's kind of like ho-hum. It's kind of like you said, Illinois fans might take, maybe not appreciate it as much. I'm sure a lot do, but it's just, you expect him to do that every night. When he doesn't, it's disappointing. Like he has 17 and 13. You're like, it's an okay game for Kofi Cockburn. While like Johnny Davis, maybe expected to average like 13 points a game this year, not 20, not to be, 37 points to win at Purdue and have Wisconsin in a Big Ten title race. And Johnny deserves Big Ten Player of the Year. It just so happens all these guys are competing for this award when all of them are probably going to be All-Americans, like first and second team All-American. Like 5 of the 10 All-Americans should be Big Ten players. Like Keegan Murray should be a second team All-American. Like Jaden Ivey to me was kind of my leader after Purdue won, but then you look at his numbers and it's like, people might not think he's the winner because he's not always the most efficient. He's had some huge games, some huge fourth quarters or late in the second half. But then Johnny Davis doing what he's doing, Keegan Murray. I think EJ Liddell, if Ohio State won a share, he'd be right up there with all these other guys. So I think Kofi's got a strong case. If it were today with these 3 teams tied atop the Big Ten, or Purdue, if they all tie atop the Big Ten, I'd probably lean Kofi, but I'm a little biased because I see it every night, right? I bet a lot of people, if Wisconsin wins a share, Johnny's going to get it. And I can't really say, oh no, that's wrong. But I think you're right. Whether it's Brad Underwood with Coach of the Year, Kofi Cockburn for Player of the Year, I think Illinois has to win at least a share of the Big Ten to win those awards.
For sure. And what you and I both know, Jeremy, is that no matter who wins it, majority of people will not be okay with it. If Kofi wins it, a lot of Purdue, a lot of Wisconsin, probably a lot of Ohio State fans are going to be upset.
It could be very important for Kofi to be the second choice for a lot of people, because say Johnny Davis, like if people want to put Jaden Ivey because Purdue wins the Big Ten, some people might not even have him in the top 3. Like National College Player of the Year odds, Kofi's number 1 in the Big Ten at plus 400. Johnny Davis is 3rd at plus 600. These are behind Sheboy. And then Murray is right behind at plus 750. So they only have Jaden Ivey on there, and that, which is crazy to me. But like if Jaden Ivey gets some first place votes, but not the second and third place votes, maybe Kofi can win that way.
Yeah, I think out of all the guys, if you were going to say, hey, give me your top 2, majority of people you would ask would probably have Kofi in the top 2. Like you said, it's going to be Ivey or William, or Ivey or Davis or Liddell that are going to be on the outside a little bit. That's the thing. That's the consistency, right? And it's going to be close. It's going to be really close. And it's the game within the game right now. You have the Big Ten title race, and then there's this, because there is a chance between Ivey, Davis, Cockburn, Liddell, and Murray that you get 5 All-Americans. I think it's actually likely. We'll see. Maybe they don't go as Big Ten heavy, but it's going to be crazy to see which one gets left off an All-American list, because whoever it is, they're going to get snubbed.
Mm-hmm.
All of them has been playing at such a high level, and it's been great for the conference. I think it's been great for, as much as teams want to root against each other, it's been fun tuning in every single night and just seeing these unbelievable players carrying their teams. And like really, 5 guys in the Big Ten that are this potent and this great for their teams. It's like you have like a 50% chance of turning on FS1 or Big Ten Network and seeing an All-American play in the conference, which doesn't happen much. It certainly wasn't the case when I was there. We had good players, right? We had Trey Burke. We had a number of guys that were Nick Stauskas. Like there were a lot of guys that were All-Americans, but not getting into the 3, 4, 5 territory. So it's been great for the conference.